Friends, colleagues, and fellow travelers on this journey we call life, I want to begin by asking you a question that we often avoid in the quiet moments of the night. When was the last time you felt truly present? Not present in a meeting while checking your emails under the table, and not present at the dinner table while your mind was rehearsing a presentation for the next morning. I mean truly, deeply, and vibrantly present in the skin you inhabit. We live in an era that worships the grind. We have turned exhaustion into a status symbol and burnout into a badge of honor. We look at the person who stays latest at the office as the hero, and we view the person who leaves on time to see their children or to pursue a hobby as someone who lacks drive. But I am here to tell you today that this is a dangerous lie. It is a fallacy that has robbed us of our joy, our health, and our most precious relationships. Work-life balance is not a luxury for the privileged. It is a fundamental requirement for a life well lived. If we look at the word balance, we often picture a scale, two sides perfectly level, static, and unmoving. But life is not static. Life is a living, breathing, chaotic dance. Balance is not about achieving a 50-50 split of your hours every single day. It is about the fluid movement between your professional ambitions and your personal soul. It is about understanding that you are not a machine. A machine can run until its parts wear out and can be replaced, but you have only one heart, one mind, and one span of years on this earth. When we sacrifice everything at the altar of productivity, we are trading our permanent well-being for temporary gains. We think that by working harder, we are securing a better future. But what good is a future if you have arrived there too broken, too tired, and too lonely to enjoy it? Think about the way we talk about success. We define it by titles, by the numbers in a bank account, and by the height of the corporate ladder we have climbed. But true success is the ability to look at your life in its entirety and feel a sense of wholeness. It is the ability to excel in your career while still being the person your friends can rely on, the partner who is emotionally available, and the individual who remembers what it feels like to laugh until their sides ache. The tragedy of the modern world is that we have become human doings instead of human beings. We have forgotten that our value is not tied to our output. You are worthy of rest because you exist, not because you earned it through a 14-hour workday. The pressure to be always on is a silent thief. It steals the nuance of our thoughts and the patience in our voices. When we are constantly redlining our internal engines, we lose the capacity for creativity. True innovation doesn't happen in a state of frantic stress. It happens in the spaces between the work. It happens when you take a walk and watch the leaves turn, or when you are playing with your dog, or when you are staring out a window letting your mind wander. By refusing to find balance, you are actually sabotaging the very work you care so much about. You are giving your employer or your business a diluted version of yourself, a version that is cynical, tired, and uninspired. We must reclaim the narrative of our own lives. We must stop asking, how can I get more done? And start asking, how can I live more deeply? This shift requires a radical act of courage. It requires the courage to say no to the unnecessary, the courage to set boundaries that protect your peace, and the courage to admit that you cannot do everything at once. We often fear that if we step back, we will fall behind. But life is not a race against others, it is a marathon with yourself. If you sprint the first 5 miles, you'll collapse before the finish line. The people who truly change the world are those who have the stamina to stay in the game for the long haul. And that stamina is fueled by a life that is balanced and nourished. Let us look at the cost of the hustle culture we have inherited. It has led to an epidemic of anxiety and a generation of people who feel like they are constantly failing, no matter how much they achieve. We are connected to the entire world through the glowing screens in our pockets, yet we have never felt more isolated. We are productive on paper, but we are spiritually bankrupt. This is because we have neglected the life side of the equation. We have treated our personal lives as the leftovers. The scraps of energy and time we have at the end of the day when we are too exhausted to do anything but scroll through social media and fall into a fitful sleep. But imagine a different way. Imagine waking up and feeling that your time belongs to you. Imagine a world where your career is a vital part of your identity, but not the whole of it. Imagine being able to shut your laptop and truly leave the stress of the office behind, entering your home as a person who is ready to love, to listen, and to play. This is not a fantasy, it is a choice. It is a choice that begins with the realization that you are the architect of your own schedule. You are the one who decides what is a priority and what is a distraction. The world will always ask for more of you. It will always take as much as you are willing to give. It is up to you to decide where the line is drawn. In this first stage of our reflection, I want you to sit with the reality of your current state. Are you living or are you just surviving? Are you building a career or are you building a cage? There is no shame in admitting that the balance has tipped too far in one direction. The first step toward change is awareness. It is acknowledging that the current path is unsustainable. It is realizing that you deserve a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. We must break the cycle of thinking that someday we will relax. Someday is a mirage that stays forever on the horizon. Today is the only day you have. Today is the day to start reclaiming your time, your energy, and your spirit. As we move deeper into this reflection, we must address the hardest truth about balance. It is not something that is given to you. It is something you must fiercely protect. We often wait for our bosses to tell us to go home, or for our clients to stop emailing us at midnight, or for the demands of the world to simply quiet down on their own. But the world is loud by nature, and the workplace is designed to expand into every available inch of your life if you do not set the perimeter. To achieve true work-life balance, you must become the architect of your own boundaries. You must understand that a boundary is not a wall to keep people out. It is a gate that determines what you allow in. The most powerful tool in your arsenal for a balanced life is a simple two-letter word, no. We have been conditioned to see no as a sign of weakness, selfishness, or a lack of ambition. We fear that saying no will lead to missed opportunities, or that people will think we aren't team players. But every time you say yes to something that isn't a priority, you are inadvertently saying no to something that is. When you say yes to an unnecessary late-night meeting, you might be saying no to reading a bedtime story to your child. When you say yes to an extra project you don't have the capacity for, you are saying no to the sleep your body desperately needs, or the creative hobby that keeps your soul alive. Discipline is not just about working hard. It is about having the discipline to protect your non-negotiables. We must stop apologizing for having a life outside of our labor. There is a profound dignity in being a person who honors their commitments to themselves as much as their commitments to their employers. Think about the people you admire most. Are they the ones who are constantly frazzled, reactive, and breathless? Or are they the ones who move with a sense of calm intentionality? The most effective leaders I have ever known are those who understand the power of the off switch. They know that a rested brain solves problems faster than a tired one. They know that a person who has spent the weekend hiking, painting, or laughing with family returns to the office on Monday with a perspective that a burnt-out worker can never achieve. Setting boundaries requires a shift in our internal dialogue. We have to stop feeling guilty for the white space in our calendars. We live in a society that views an empty Saturday as a problem to be solved or a gap to be filled with errands and catch-up work. But that white space is where your life actually happens. It is where your brain processes emotion, where your body heals, and where your spirit finds its footing again. We must learn to treat our personal time with the same reverence we treat a high-stakes board meeting. If you wouldn't stand up as CEO, why are you so quick to stand up yourself when you promised yourself a workout or an hour of quiet reading? Balance also requires us to confront the perfectionism trap. Many of us struggle with work-life balance because we feel that everything we do must be flawless. We stay late to tweak a font on a slide deck that no one will notice, or we spend hours agonizing over an email that could have been written in 5 minutes. This perfectionism is often just a mask for insecurity. It is the belief that if we aren't doing everything perfectly, we aren't enough. But perfection is the enemy of the good and the assassin of the balanced. To find harmony, you must learn to identify what requires 100% of your excellence and what only requires 80% of your effort. Not every task is a mountain. Some are just pebbles. Learning to distinguish between the two is the only way to keep your pack light enough to finish the journey. Let us also talk about the digital leash. We are the first generation in human history that carries our offices in our pockets. The boundary between home and work has been blurred by the blue light of our smartphones. We check notifications at the dinner table, we respond to Slack messages while we are at the gym, we scroll through industry news before we even say good morning to the person lying next to us. This constant connectivity keeps our nervous systems in a state of low-grade fight or flight. We are never fully working, and we are never fully resting. We are in a state of continuous partial attention, which is exhausting and deeply unfulfilling. To reclaim balance, you must create digital sanctuaries. You must have times and places where the technology is silenced, where the pings and buzzes cannot reach you, and where you are allowed to be unreachable. The world will not fall apart if you don't answer an email at 9:30 p.m. And if it does, then the system was already broken, and your extra hour of work wasn't going to save it anyway. There is a beautiful concept in gardening called following. It is the practice of leaving a field unplanted for a season so that the soil can regain its nutrients. If a farmer plants the same crop year after year without rest, the soil becomes depleted and eventually nothing will grow. We are no different. Our minds and hearts are the soil. If we keep planting productivity and output every single hour of every single day, we will eventually become barren. We will lose our nutrients, our empathy, our humor, our ability to think deeply. Following is not a waste of time, it is an investment in the next harvest. Your periods of rest are the very things that make your periods of work possible and powerful. As you look at your life, I want you to identify your non-negotiables. What are the things that, if taken away, make you feel like you are losing yourself? Is it your morning coffee in silence? Is it your Tuesday night yoga class? Is it the yearly camping trip with your friends? Identify these anchors and drop them deep into your schedule. Do not let the tides of work pull them away. When you protect these small pieces of your humanity, the larger picture of your life begins to feel more stable. You begin to move from a place of have to a place of choose to. You stop being a victim of your calendar and start being the captain of your soul. This transition won't be easy. People who are used to you always saying yes might be frustrated when you start saying no. You might feel a pang of FOMO, the fear of missing out, when you see others grinding away while you choose to rest. But remember why you are doing this. You are doing this because you want to be more than a resume. You want to be a person who lived, who loved, and who was actually there for the moments that mattered. You are building the foundation for a life that can sustain the weight of your dreams without collapsing under the pressure. As we arrive at the final movement of this reflection, we must look beyond the daily schedule and the immediate pressures of our tasks to consider the horizon of our lives. When we speak of work-life balance, we are ultimately speaking about legacy. We are speaking about the story people will tell about us when we are no longer in the room, and more importantly, the story we will tell ourselves in the quiet twilight of our final years. No one in the history of humanity has ever looked back from their deathbed and whispered, "I wish I had spent more time at the office." They do not wish they had cleared their inbox one last time or attended one more quarterly review. They wish they had taken the trip. They wish they had forgiven the friend. They wish they had been present for the birthdays, the sunsets, and the slow Sunday mornings. They wish they had lived a life that was balanced by love. We often operate under the illusion that we are indispensable at work, but replaceable at home. We act as if the company will collapse without our constant vigilance, yet we assume our families and our own spirits will simply wait for us, indefinitely patient, until we find the time to turn toward them. But the truth is the exact opposite. In your professional life, you are, to some degree, a function of your role. If you left tomorrow, a job posting would go up, a replacement would be found, and the machine would continue to turn. But in your personal life, you are entirely unique. You are the only person who can be that specific parent, that specific partner, that specific child, or that specific friend. You are the only one who can live your particular life. When you overinvest in the place where you are replaceable and underinvest in the place where you are essential, you are making a tragic mathematical error with the currency of your soul. Finding balance is an act of profound self-respect. It is the realization that your purpose on this planet is not merely to be a tool for someone else's profit or even your own professional advancement. Your purpose is to experience the full spectrum of human existence. It is to feel the sting of the cold wind on a mountain hike, the warmth of a shared meal, the intellectual thrill of a good book, and the peace of a mind that is not racing. When we achieve balance, we become better versions of ourselves for everyone around us. A balanced person is a kinder person. They are more patient, more empathetic, and more capable of true connection. When you are balanced, you aren't just reacting to life, you are responding to it with grace. You become a beacon for others who are also struggling in the dark, showing them that it is possible to be successful without being miserable. Let us consider the concept of wholeness. We often divide our lives into boxes: the work self, the home self, the social self. We wear different masks in each, and we spend an enormous amount of energy trying to keep the walls between these boxes upright. But true balance comes when those walls begin to dissolve into a single, integrated life. It is the realization that the skills you learn in your personal life, patience, listening, emotional intelligence, make you a better professional. And the discipline and focus you learn at work can make you more effective at pursuing your personal passions. When you stop seeing work and life as two enemies at war and start seeing them as two instruments in a single orchestra, the music of your life changes. The tension is replaced by harmony. This journey toward balance requires a constant daily recalibration. There will be seasons where work demands more of you, A big launch, a crisis, a new venture, and that is okay. There will be seasons where life demands more of you. A new baby, a grieving friend, a personal health journey, and that is also okay. The danger is not in the temporary tilt. The danger is in the permanent lean. You must develop the internal compass to know when you have been leaning too far for too long. You must have the self-awareness to stop and say, I have lost the center, and the courage to take the steps necessary to find it again. This might mean leaving a toxic job. It might mean delegating more at home. Or it might simply mean putting your phone in a drawer for an entire weekend to remind yourself who you are when no one is watching. We must also redefine what we mean by ambition. We have been taught that ambition is a narrow, vertical drive, the desire to go up, up, up. But I want to propose a horizontal ambition, the ambition to have a wide life. The ambition to have deep roots in your community, a broad range of interests, and a vast capacity for joy. A wide life is one that has room for the unexpected. It has room for a long conversation with a neighbor, room for a spontaneous road trip, and room for the unproductive hours that actually feed your creativity. When you have horizontal ambition, you aren't just climbing a ladder, you are exploring a landscape. And at the end of the day, the person who saw the most of the world and felt the most of their own heart is the one who truly won. I want to leave you with a vision of what is possible. Imagine a version of yourself 5 years from now. This version of you is not more tired or more stressed, despite being older. Instead, this version of you is more vibrant. You have learned to work with a focused, fierce intensity during your on hours, and you have learned to let go with a total, unapologetic presence during your off hours. You have built a life where your worth is not measured by your output, but by the quality of your character and the depth of your relationships. You are successful, yes, but you are also happy. You are a person who knows how to rest, how to play, and how to be still. You are a person who has mastered the most difficult and rewarding skill of all, the art of balance. The path to this life starts today. It starts with the very next choice you make. It starts when you decide to leave work at a reasonable hour, or when you decide to take a full lunch break away from your screen, or when you finally say no to a request that would have pushed you over the edge. These are small acts, but they are acts of revolution. They are a declaration that you are a human being, not a resource. You are a person of infinite value, and your time is the most precious thing you own. Do not give it away cheaply. Do not spend it all in one place. Go forth and reclaim your life. Build the boundaries that will protect your peace. Embrace the power of no so that your yes can have real meaning. Remember that you are the gardener of your own soul, and every garden needs rest to bloom. The world is waiting for the best version of you, the balanced, rested, and whole version of you. That is the person you were meant to be. That is the life you were meant to live, and it is entirely within your reach. Start now, start small, but for the sake of your joy, your health, and your future, start today.